Good evening and welcome to the Coffeyville City Commission meeting for Tuesday, January 24th. Our invocation tonight will be presented by Pastor Randy DePriest of the First Assembly of God Church. Please stand for the invocation and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag.
In Exodus chapter 16, or actually 18, verse 24, Moses listened to his father-in-law and did everything he said. He chose capable men from all Israel, made them leaders of the people, officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. They served as judges for the people at all times. The difficult cases they brought to Moses, but the simple ones they decided themselves. And I think today about leaders, and God has made you leaders over families, over different positions. In this room, there would be the Moseses of today. There would be the other ones that are assisting. And everything rises and falls on leadership. So as we all say, I'm responsible. I will ask the Lord to bless everything we do and say. Heavenly Father, today, in your holy name, we come to you tonight, and we ask that you would be with us in wisdom and in truth, and that, Father, we would not just do what's good, but we would do what's right. And that, Father, in all of our ways, you'll be honored by everything that is said, everything that you hear. And as you look over us, Father, protect us, bless us, help us to make Coffeyville greater than it's ever been. And, Father, you will receive all the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. So the consent agenda, the Coffeyville City Commission meeting minutes for Tuesday, January 10th, 2017, and the 2017 appropriation ordinance number AO-17-02 in the amount of $4,489,351.23. Do we have any changes or additions we want to make to this? Questions?
No discussion here. I'd make a move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Do we have a second?
We'll make a second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Castler. I'll poll the commission. Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Taylor?
Aye.
Mayor Bauer? Aye. Commissioner Castler?
Aye.
Commissioner Martin?
Aye.
Moving forward, we have no proclamations or old business. New business, resolution number R-17-03, a resolution to execute the fiscal year 2017-2018 membership and economic development service agreement with the Montgomery County Action Council. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor, Commission, before you, we have an agreement with Montgomery County Action Council. At previous meetings, we had discussed funding levels for their services. In the budget sessions, I had recommended that we reduce funding to $15,000. That was approved, but then in December they made a request that we would restore our funding to the original $25,000. It was the consensus of the commission that we would mirror what Independence chose to do as far as their funding levels. I know representatives from MAC spoke to Independence City Commission, and they chose to leave their fiscal year 2017 funding at the $17,000 in which they had budgeted, but did agree to increase the 2018 funding to the $25,000 level. And so before we denied is an agreement that would reflect those same numbers.
Open this up to questions.
I have a problem with contracts. I think I spoke last time this came up and said I really don't want to do contracts. I want to see year-by-year basis of what they do, and I want them to come before us and kind of give us an update. I think before this last time they come up to us, we really didn't hear a lot from them. They had the golf tournament and they had their banquet, but plus that, I didn't see a lot given to us. I'd like to see, if we give them this money, that maybe twice a year they come up and kind of give us an update. I'd like to do 17,000 this year, but maybe wait until next year to do, see what we can do for the following year.
Okay. Now, the agreement does call for them to give, the official exact wording is, provide a periodic, not less than quarterly activity and financial report to the city for review. So that part is in the agreement. It's also subject to appropriations. So should you choose in budget sessions to not appropriate those funds for the coming year, we would give notice of cancellation. So those clawbacks are in place.
That's good to know.
Could we not just decide 2018 at our budget session like we would normally?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
Why the special kick in 2 years now in January when?
Well, frankly, I thought that was the will of the commission, that they would mirror what Independence chose to do.
Yeah, I don't have any problem with mirroring what they do. I'm sure they haven't done it yet, and I don't know that we need to do it tonight. I'm also not in favor of signing any contract. I'm pretty sure I stated that last meeting, but I wouldn't think that's something that need to be proved tonight. That's what budget session is for. I mean, and like you said, appropriations, what if something happens between now and then, you cancel it anyway? You're gonna do it at that point. What, are they gonna get the money now, or we gonna do it?
We pay it in quarterly payments, installments.
I'd just soon wait till the actual budget session and do it the way it's supposed to be done, in my opinion.
Well, candidly, we did that, and now we're here at this point choosing to raise it.
Yeah, well, I didn't bring that to the table, so
Okay.
too much stuff.
Well, it was my understanding that basically you issued a challenge to Independence that you would mirror what they did. They did.
17,000.
They haven't yet.
Kept their-
They pledged to do so, and I would have a problem pledging to do so at budget session time.
So I think they went on record saying that in 2018 they're going to fund Montgomery County Action Council at $25,000, and they're also on record and already have budgeted $17,000 for this year. At the last meeting when this was brought up, you said that you would match what Independence did. That's what they did.
Yeah, I said I'd match them. I didn't say I'd do it next meeting.
Now you're saying that you want to review it again, so I'm just confused on which way we're going.
Well, I just told you, budget
Okay.
session, I'd talk about it, and I have no problem matching what Independence does next year. I just don't want to do it tonight.
Okay.
So as far as allocating the 2018, we don't want to make that commitment at this time.
No,
We're going to do it during the budget
I
time.
would like to make a motion to do that if we have support for it. Okay, how do you feel about it?
Well, I'm glad that we came to agreement that we will match the 17,000 for this year.
Okay,
The question is the 25,000 commitment right now for the 2018 fiscal year.
Okay, and I feel, I'm supportive of them. They all came up here, I wasn't here at that meeting, I was out of town.
Right.
But I'm in support of approving this resolution.
So
If we have some more support for it, it sounds like Chris is, and if you're in support of it, I'll make a motion.
So I'm in favor of this as long as we do it as this one-time 2-year option to where we do 17 and 18, but after that, it's a 1 year. We renew on a yearly basis.
Okay.
Well, I don't think that you can, I think there's an election between now and then. I don't think you can tie the hands of the future commission.
That's true.
So I think that you're either A, you're approving this, or you're not, but making a caveat that you're going to
Yeah.
fund it as X, Y, Z in a year that you may or may not be here, you can't do that. Am I correct, Paul? Yes. Okay.
So if we're done discussion, I'll make a motion.
Now, there is some wording in here to allow you to terminate this contract with
Right,
30 days'
sure.
notice.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily tie you to the full fiscal year of 2018. It would be prorated out accordingly, whatever that depending on when or if
Right.
you canceled it.
Okay.
Thank you, Kendall.
Well, I think the meeting that Matt came up and presented to us, that was the agreement that most of us came up with, was to go with what you presented in front of us tonight, so.
And I think it's money well spent. Okay, that, I want to say
Well,
that.
I think the biggest part is I want to be able to see quarterly what the MAC is doing with the money. I mean, the presentation, like you had said in the deal. I mean, I think we need to make sure that we hold them to that it's presented.
Now, I will say that we have not given this agreement to MAC to sign, so I mean, it would not be valid until they signed it.
Right. So do we have a motion to approve?
I'd make a motion to approve Resolution R-17-3 for adoption.
Do we have a second?
I second the motion.
Motion for Resolution R-17-03 has been made by Commissioner Taylor, seconded by Commissioner Williams. By vote of the commission, all approved, say aye.
Aye.
All against, say nay.
Nay.
And Mayor says aye. So,
So it's
3 to 1. 3 to 2, sorry.
really, we're supposed to go through it, right, Cindy?
No.
Or not?
Not on this one.
Okay, okay, good. Okay. So it passes 3 to 2.
Okay, moving along to Resolution R-17-04, resolution to approve the addition of a Sally Port to the Coffville Emergency Services Building. City Manager Kendall Francis will make comments.
Mayor and Commissioner, before you is a resolution to what we talked about at the last meeting. When we first began this process to design a standalone facility for the police and fire, Sally Port, which is a secured area to drop off prisoners at the holding facility. That was always one of the main priorities for the police department for a myriad of reasons that I've included in your packet. However, as we began to go through the design, we realized that we may not be able to include that within that guaranteed $5.4 million price tag. After bid openings, it became clear that because we did bid it as an alternate to the main facility. It became clear that we were not going to be able to hold to that $5.4 million price tag, guaranteed price, and include the Sally Port. At our last meeting, I told you I would come back with kind of the price tag for that Sally Port and optional way to fund it. The main building itself, the project, is part of the sales tax initiative that has already been approved. But what I am bringing to you tonight is a recommendation. The cost as recommended is not to exceed $120,000. After bid openings, we do have a couple of bids we did not receive, but according to our budget figures that are included in here, we feel confident that we can come under that $120,000 price tag. The funding for this would come through some funds that were originally paid to the city as part of reimbursement for the flooding in 2007. So these funds originated as FEMA and insurance proceeds. However, some of those monies were set aside because at the time FEMA was making payments and then coming back and say they overpaid us. So we we were fearful that we'd have to refund some of these monies to FEMA. So those monies have been set aside. They've been sitting there for the last 7 to 9 years, whatever that, until we could get clarification that that case had been closed. We had never received any kind of official word. However, back at Thanksgiving time when we had our water emergency and in some of the follow-up meetings with FEMA, we were told at that time that the case had been closed, but we had just not received that official word. So now, once we've been notified that 2007 case has been closed, those funds are available. They revert to non-recurring revenues or one-time funds, and so they're free to be used according to that policy, which I've included with your packet.
And that's all in your report,
That is.
okay?
You have any questions?
What's the balance of that fund?
I believe the balance.
$607,191.85.
And that's in the report too.
And that's not including the 120,000 for the Sallyport.
That's just the balance of those funds that had been set aside back in 2000.
So we're gonna take the 120 out of that.
Correct.
That would leave $487,191.
Yes.
How many bids did we get?
Well, each of those contracts, and if you'll,
Yeah, I was looking through and I just didn't see.
those, what I presented to you are the trade contracts, are the low bidders for each of those.
Okay.
Each of those trade contracts, and depending on the contract, in some instances, we received several bids, in some, we didn't receive any.
Right.
And so we will be rebidding some of those trade contracts. We also think that there are savings that can be achieved in some of the areas, in the concrete areas, also the masonry. As you'll see, there's $20,000 bid for masonry. We believe that that's probably overkill, so to speak. So we expect to see some savings from these budget numbers. Also, there's about a $2,300 contingency that's built into these fees, and you'll see that the first line in the blue says construction contingency at 2.5%. So that's built into that price tag. But like I said, I believe that we're going to see a reduction in that price, and that's why I put a not to exceed price tag of $120,000.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope. What's this other building that was discussed?
The other building,
The $44,000 one,
Talking about for the vehicle storage?
or is it?
that's for the armory, the armored vehicle. The MRAP is the police department's armored vehicle, which is currently stored at the National Guard Armory. Is that correct? It is correct, right? Yeah. I didn't want to misstate something. So one of the thoughts was that we would also add a storage or a garage for it
Yeah.
on site as well.
Is that, no, I guess I read through this tonight, there's one building for $44,000, is that it? For $44,000?
No,
That was it.
that is what Commissioner Williams is referring to is the alternate number 2,
Okay.
armored vehicle storage.
Okay,
Pending rebid items, it currently stands at $135,719. But the 44,000, I'm not certain to what you're
I
referring.
think that's the next one.
137,000 is the storage alone?
That is, it would be like a garage, for lack of a better word.
that
make
in
sure
the-
I didn't miss something here. Are we planning on approving that? Or is that at the end of this if we have enough money left over?
I did not come here tonight prepared to talk about the,
So we're not approving that this evening?
no, my-
Okay, I just want to make sure. I thought maybe something had happened here I missed, because I was talking about Sallyport, next thing you know, we're
You're
talking
right.
about storage.
No, I think this is
Because-
just more referring to the Sally Port.
This is referring to the Sallyport, but I asked the question what the other building was that was discussed last time, and that was a storage building for the MRAP. And my question is what was that building? And the answer was storage for the MRAP. My next question was, is there any estimate of how much it would cost to build that building?
and right now, pending rebids, it's about 136,000.
For a garage?
Well, I would say yes, but like I said, I don't have the details to be able to explain the construction of what was designed for the MRAP. I know there's going to be considerable expense in concrete flooring just because of the weight of the vehicle. So you're going to have a lot, I mean, significantly more in concrete.
I'm going to guess it has to be a secure facility, because I can only imagine idle hands and a vehicle sitting out in the open.
That's right, and that's why we currently stored it, inside at the National Guard Armory.
I know this is kind of off this particular subject, but we're going to have an empty building with 5 bays sitting right over there here in the next year.
It won't fit.
It won't fit in there? Can we not?
It won't
What
fit
would
in
it
the
cost to
door?
make an adjustment to, can we not look at, instead of spending $130,000 on a brand-new building, why don't we look at making a modification of that building?
What's
and
the
making it-
difference between having it down here and having it at the armory? It's still,
And then-
you gotta drive 20 blocks to get to a piece of equipment that you
Well-
may need,
The armory's
10
out at
minute
the
notice.
industrial park.
no, the armory's out.
No,
At
the
the-
armory's in the industrial park right
No,
now.
the armory
That's
is
the welding
out.
facility for the college.
Is it at the armory on,
Oh,
right, it's the old armory on West 8th.
Paul, when this was all going on, the building of the building and vacating the current fire department, one of the concerns with me, and I know some other people, was when we did that, we wanted to make sure that we just didn't have a building sitting here south of us that wasn't used for anything. So I see where you're going, and I would love to hear how we could use that building. Surely to broaden the door has got to be cheaper than $137,000,
Eh.
I would imagine.
and I understand where Chris is coming from.
I don't think it'll fit. The thing is, it's got a turret on the top of it. And I don't think that you realize how incredibly tall this thing is. Do you think it will fit down there, Danny?
Have you seen it?
I have, I've seen it.
Can't be more than 11 foot tall.
Yeah, but then they've got to drive from there. Those guys are there, and then they got to drive all the way over here.
Exactly.
This is not even on the agenda.
Right, let's get back to what's on the agenda.
No, but
So-
I can ask the question, and my question was asked and answered. But I'd also like to look at that too and have some type of idea of what that would cost specifically.
Okay.
All right, we'll put that on the agenda for next meeting. Can we possibly put that on the agenda for next meeting? All right,
Certainly.
thank you. Any other questions surrounding Resolution R-17-04 for adoption?
I make the motion to adopt the resolution.
I'll second. Motions are made by Commissioner Williams, seconded by Mayor Bauer. All in favor on the commission, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. All approved.
So where does that put us now for total on this project? At some point, maybe you can talk about it and get that ready for next week. or next-
Well, it's a guaranteed max price of $5.4 million for the emergency services building. And so you add not to exceed 120,000, so you're at 5.52.
Now, are we going to have some costs that we're doing with our own people,
I don't understand the question.
electrical or ditches or plumbing or
We
running services to it, or,
we will be bringing utilities up to the building
okay?
within 5 foot of the building. So we have you know, some minimal costs,
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
good. Thank you.
All right, moving along to Resolution R-17-05, a resolution to execute change order number 7, pre-engineered metal building with Crossland Construction for electric utility. Electric Utility Director Gene Ratzliff will make comments.
Mayor, Commissioners, Crosslands Construction was awarded the pre-engineered metal building contract for the new generation project. This change order represents final engineering changes, notices to an overhead door opening, repair to several building penetrations, replacement of a damaged gas heating unit, including a back charge due to the mechanical contractor because of delaying of the schedule for Crossland contractor. Staff recommends the approval and authorization of change order number 7, pre-engineered metal building to Crossland Construction Company in the amount of $44,679.14 for engineering design changes and final miscellaneous items for contract closeout.
Any questions?
This is all good, Gene.
It's all good. It's all done. They haven't been here for a month or so. It's all over with.
Okay. I don't have any questions.
Any other questions from the commission?
Nope.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-17-05 for adoption. Resolution R-17-05 motion was made by Mayor Bauer, seconded by Commissioner Martin. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Moving on to Resolution R-17-06, the resolution to execute a service agreement with Criswell Engineering for electric utility. Electric Utility Director Gene Ratzliff will make comments.
Purpose of this is to secure services to provide electrical engineering maintenance, testing, and support services for the utility. The electric utility owns and operates 6 electric substations and 7 electric generating units to provide reliable economic electric service to our residents, businesses, and visitors. To provide the most reliable system possible and to meet federally mandated NERC requirements, the electric utility must perform certain testing on high-voltage electric apparatus on a scheduled basis. Staff issued a public request for proposals in 2014, receiving quotes from 3 firms to provide these services. Based on qualifications and cost, Criswell Engineering was selected. Criswell Engineering did not increase their rates above the 2014 to 15 rates for fiscal year 2017. Staff will again seek in late 2017 through a public request of proposal a competitive cost for these services. Staff recommends that the mayor be authorized to enter into a service agreement for electrical engineering, substation maintenance, testing, and support services with Criswell Engineering for the amount not to exceed $150,000 for fiscal year 2017. Any
Questions? So this is something we're doing right now?
Yeah,
Same company,
same company,
same price?
same price. They've had the same price as 2011. They've not changed.
Something we have to do,
Yes.
mandatory?
Yeah, otherwise we'd be in the dark a lot.
Right.
Is it
Just asking the question.
annually, Gene?
Yeah.
We have to do this
We do,
annually?
it's, every year, we have a schedule for all the different pieces of equipment that need to be tested. Some are tested, a few are tested every year, some every 2 years, some
Oh, I
every
see.
3 years.
I see. Okay.
Any other questions from the commission?
Nope.
Make a motion to approve Resolution R-17-06 for adoption.
I'll second it.
Okay, moving on to Resolution R-17-0,
Oh, we got to,
sorry.
vote. Yeah.
So, all in favor from the commission, say aye.
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 I did.
You made it. No, second.
Sorry. And all opposed, say nay.
Thanks,
Motion-
Gene.
Motion passes. Moving along to Resolution R-17-07, a resolution to approve a loan application for the Distressed Housing Reinvestment Program for Baroness Properties. Assistant City Manager Tricia Purdon will make comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. 2 years ago, the Commission approved the incentive guidelines, which included programs for economic development, housing, as well as some state and federal programs that businesses and investors and property developers could apply for. One of these programs was the Distressed Property Reinvestment Program, which was intended to be a program to rehabilitate distressed housing in targeted neighborhoods that would otherwise be potential candidates for demolition. The intent was to preserve our historical neighborhoods in Coffeyville versus demolishing all of the old homes. Because of the parcel size, frequently we can't put new homes in, and so just demolishing them just leaves large vacant spaces throughout town that just have to be mowed, and then we end up with issues with mowing as well. Recently, we were approached by a woman who has roots in Coffeyville. She was born and raised here. Her family was here for several generations. And she heard about this program with the city of Coffeyville and applied to reinvest her money into Coffeyville, into 4 homes along 9th Street, after seeing the significant investment that the city and the state made into the 9th Street area. Peggy Steele has applied for 4 $40,000 loans that would include an incentive of 20% of that principal loan balance being eligible for forgiveness. The loans, only $10,000 per loan would be forgiven, so about 20%. And that is only if she meets several stipulations which are outlined in your packet. Basically, the primary one is that she makes all of her payments on time. The properties do not have any code enforcement issues. So, you know, our code enforcement office doesn't come and say that the windows are broken out, et cetera. She has to maintain consistent occupancy in the homes, so they can't stay empty during at least 3 years of the loan. And the loan forgiveness would only be eligible after she's made $30,000 worth of principal payments and has met these stipulations for at least 3 years. So it won't be forgiven for at least 3 years. We, as staff, evaluated several different programs that really could help revitalize our housing stock in Coffeyville. We've met with several developers. The cost to build new housing is significant. With this investment and with Ms. Steele's investment of $269,000 into these 4 homes, we'll get 4 market rate rentals with 3 to 4 bedrooms in them, which is something that our housing study we had done a year and a half ago said is an absolute priority for our community. So this fits our incentive guidelines, it fits our housing guidelines and study that we had done, and it also fits within the community survey that we had done a few years ago as well, to revitalize our neighborhoods and clean up neighborhoods. In addition, Mrs. Steele really has made an effort above and beyond and has gone door to door along 9th Street between Buckeye Street and the college, and is getting all of the citizens along 9th Street, well, there are a few that are unwilling to participate, but a good chunk of the neighbors in that area excited about their neighborhood. They want to participate in crime prevention, in fixing up their homes, in landscaping their front neighborhoods, and getting general curb appeal along that street. The intent of the CDBG program is to do just this. The city and the state finance major infrastructure improvements, and because of the new roads and sidewalks and curb and gutter, the homeowners along that street see how nice it looks, and they also want to participate and clean up their homes. So this, we believe, will have a ripple effect and clean up all of 9th Street, and especially since that's a corridor that people are frequently traveling down now since it's so improved, and we really think this is a strong investment with the dollars that we have. The money that we are using to fund this program is rolled over from a KHRC grant, the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation. It's money to receive during the flood that we used to purchase homes that were distressed and fix them up and then sell them. The proceeds from those sales went into this fund, and that's what we're using, we would like to use for this program. I spoke with the state of Kansas and KHRC to make sure that this was an authorized use of those rolled over funds, and they said this is exactly what they intended for us to use them for, is something like this. So it fits within the state's guidelines as well. I would be more than happy to answer any questions, but I would also like to introduce Miss Peggy Steele. She's in the audience this evening, and she'd be happy to answer any questions as well for you. She's very passionate about Coffeyville. If you read her information that she included in the packet, you'd see that she's very invested in our community, and I believe that her investment in our community will go a long way towards really getting the good feeling of old Coffeyville back, and that's what this commission has really said they're after. So, any other questions?
When do we get to meet Peggy?
Right now, if you'd like.
Yeah, we want to hear from you, Peggy. I think we had a conversation on the phone about 3 months ago. We never did get a chance to meet, so I got a question. Peggy's up here.
Okay.
Now, this money, does it get, we don't give it to her all in one lump sum or anything, do we?
As we start the houses, and we're trying to start all 4 houses at once. What we want to do is get the houses finished as soon as possible for cash flow. And then I have other properties that I'll look at depending on the rental of these properties. So it's my understanding it'll be given as the houses are started.
Yeah, it'd be a one lump sum to start the loan.
We have contracts for all 4 houses right now that I'm doing.
These houses gonna be put into, I don't know what the proper term, are these HUD houses? Are these gonna be open to whoever, no income restrictions? Or?
No, they are not HUD houses. There's no government restriction. The rent on these 4 houses, according to the real estate people here, will be between $350 and $700 a month. There's quite a range. 2 of the houses we're taking the upstairs, the lofts, or the attics, and making lofts, and we're adding bedrooms and baths. So, have you gone down 9th Street to see some of the work we're doing?
But no, I haven't seen the house.
Yes, I have.
Well, I'm glad somebody's trying to do this. I was
Yeah, I
raised
agree.
by a carpenter, and I find myself driving down roads going, that house could be saved. I just don't have the money to do it.
Well,
So
it's
I'm glad somebody's
amazing,
trying.
because I don't know if you read my story or not. It's
I
very
did.
hard for me to talk about it, because I feel so strongly, but I came back to rescue my grandmother's house. And I went down 9th Street, and I saw what you had done. And then I started interviewing people in Coffeyville. And I've come back to reunions, and I've come back to take care of my mom, who retired here, and I've been back a lot. And when I went to the tax sale, I started bidding, and I bid on a lot of property. And I have to tell you one small story, very short story. I live in Phoenix right now. We are going to come back here for periods of time, but my husband knew I was going to the tax sale, and so he knew I was going to try to get Grandma's property. He had no idea what it was going to cost. My husband's a CPA, by the way, okay, so that gives you the... So I did not have time to call him and tell him what happened, because I bought 17 properties there, okay? Fred Brown was taking me around to show me what I bought, and I had already looked at these properties, but I was a little confused on a couple of them. But the county treasurer had made a mistake, she thought. So she called my number and said, "Is Peggy there?" And he said, "No, this is her husband. What do you need?" And she said, "Well, this is the county commissioner or county treasurer for Montgomery County, and I need to know how many properties she purchased." He said, "Properties?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Can you tell me how many?" And she said, "You mean she hasn't called you to talk to you?" And he said, "No." And she said, "Maybe I should talk to you later after you talk to your wife." And so I called him shortly after that, and I informed him that indeed I had purchased 17 properties. And I purchased one more after that, the one we spoke of. So I'm excited about it. I don't know where it's going to go with the ones past these 4. These are the top priority. They're on 9th Street. As Tricia said, I'm going door to door as best I can, and trying to evaluate and see what people's motivations are. Also working with a couple people to try to get something down the road around help to do some cosmetic things for people who cannot afford it but want to do it. And there are a lot of people in that area who want that. They're not all people who don't care. Most people do care. I don't want to make promises we can't keep, but we're really excited about what's happening.
Well, you're trying, that's a start.
I'm trying, yeah.
It's a start.
At 70 years old, I had no idea I'd be doing this. It's like I'm supposed to be retired. But here we go, so we'll see.
Peggy and staff, I'm interested, Trish, in this project if we can put the money in the account and then push it out as kind of as it's getting spent.
Absolutely.
Sounds logical to me. I mean.
Well, and my
that-
intention is to pay it
that's-
back as soon as I can.
Well, I'm not,
My cash
Right.
flow is better to get paid back.
Right.
So,
but is there anything wrong with that, Trish? We commit to the money, and then as the bills get, we can funnel it out a little bit as it gets spent. Is there a problem with that, Peggy?
it's going to be spent very soon, so it's whatever you want to do, but the timeframe's going to be about 30 days, I
Well, the
think.
work gets done, and then.
I mean,
we put
that's
the
going to be
money-
more complex. I would like to have the money to manage it, if you trust me to manage it. That would be simpler, rather than to submit to the city bills and then parcel it out. You
I'm
know?
fine with what you wrote up. Trish.
I mean, I'm going to document
I think-
everything.
I think we're overcomplicating it. I mean, we have the money set aside
Okay.
for this exact purpose. I mean,
It's not even money, the state gave us this money, right?
Right, it's rolled over grant money that we received from the state.
and like Trish said, this is something that was exactly what this money was designed for.
We
And
have a housing
and we
issue
have,
in Coffeyville.
we're reinvesting, yeah.
Well, just on the record, I feel like it ought to go out like a bank would do it, you know, and that kind of as it gets done, but if you guys want to do that, that's great.
I guess,
Commissioner Taylor, the only thing I would say to that is that by doing that would create significant staff time requirements to.
Well, I talked to Steph
go
about it
through
before
everything.
the meeting, and she thought it sounded like an idea. Anyway, enough said, let's move on. I'm good with it.
do we have any other questions from the commission? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Castler. We have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. So motion's been made by Commissioner Taylor, or by Commissioner Castler, seconded by Commissioner Martin. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.
Thank you very much.
Resolution R-17-07 has been approved.
Thank you, Mrs.
You'll be
Yes.
invited to the party in August when we celebrate.
Good luck.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Nice to meet you, Peggy.
Okay, we'll move on to city manager's report.
Mayor, Commissioners, I'll try to be brief.
Hey, can I get back up on that program? Would that program be good for, Trish is here, she might leave. Would that program be good if a guy wanted to move a house into that area?
It's intended to revitalize specific districts throughout that area, so distressed housing. If someone wanted to do infill housing into that neighborhood, I would think that would
I
be
mean, there's
eligible.
lots of lots.
Right, there are some open lots. Infill housing is definitely a targeted priority for that as well. I would more than happy to talk with someone that'd be interested in that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, probably first off, I wanted to make you aware that we, after some discussion regarding our broadcast on Channel 13, the commission broadcast, we have made some upgrades in video equipment and in sound. And so we're hoping that tonight's broadcast, people will notice a difference in the quality. Should see that, or should have a better picture quality. You probably you shouldn't hear any loss of sound when we switch between cameras. Shouldn't have any static or anything like that as far as the sound quality. You may notice when we switch cameras that there's a very brief scramble to the picture, and that's unavoidable. It corrects itself almost immediately, but you do just have just a little glitch. So I would be interested if citizens have feedback, or if you hear feedback as to the quality of our broadcast tonight and as we go forward. And I'd like to make certain that we've addressed the issues that we know about or learned about. So, we met again with our city-county partnership just last week. Staff and I met with the other individuals, and we've hit on 3 areas of focus that we would that we'd like to explore as far as possibilities that we can achieve some savings and some possible benefits for the county and the cities therein. The first one is housing. April Nutt, who is with the Housing Authority in Independence, has agreed to put together a task force. So we're going to put a kind of a countywide task force to look at housing options, to explore grants for housing, targeting specifically, or maybe first off targeting some of the moderate income housing monies that the state has available. And so we're going to, individuals from each of the communities in the county are going to get together as a little brain trust and try to brainstorm some ideas for housing throughout the county. Also, asphalt, and I say that in a very general term, but we will be looking to piggyback with the county as far as the bidding process on the prices that they're able to receive when it comes to milling, overlays, chip sealing, those types of things. And we think that just volume will realize some savings. It'll take some coordination on our effort, on our parts and the other communities. But it's an area we want to explore a little bit more. And also joint trainings. So if we're able to collaborate with other entities to bring trainings here to the area, maybe not only realize a little bit of savings, but more just to broaden the offerings that are, there's not a lot of trainings that are held in this part of the county or this part of the state, because we just don't have the numbers that would typically attend. So if we can coordinate with the other communities and look to do things like that. So those are the three areas of focus. We thought it was best that we kind of narrow our vision a little bit so that we can put our concerted efforts on those. And then if we see benefits and some payback that way, then we'll start looking at some other ideas that have been talked about. And the goal ultimately will still be to convene, I think, what I would say a county-wide meeting of the governing bodies of the different entities. We can get in and have a discussion on just issues in some of these areas of focus. So that is still to come. I would like to welcome a new business to Coffeyville. Nanabelle's Boutique will be having their grand opening. It's on Thursday. It's a women's clothing boutique, and it'll be opening downtown in here on South Walnut. So I know there's been a lot of talk locally about that and some excitement.
When did you say that was opening?
It'll be Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Day after tomorrow. Branding. We continue to meet with Professor Thomas. We have a meeting scheduled Friday to look at a second round of logo types and taglines that staff and I met with him, I believe it was 2 weeks ago now, and saw the first round and were pleasantly surprised at the results. But he promised that he would be delivering more of those. And then as we, I'm hoping that Friday will kind of finalize when we will bring this to the community as a whole, in a public setting, to so that you can see the results or where we're at. So hopefully definitely by the next meeting, I should have a lot more information regarding the timeline for that.
Is the plan to get some options for us
Yes.
to choose from?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yep. Department of Commerce was here today to do auditing for our CDBG grants, both focused on 9th Street. There was actually 2 grants: the street itself and then the sidewalks. And so they were here making certain that we were dotting our I's and crossing our T's, and we closed those out today. I will be traveling to Topeka probably tonight after the meeting for Local Government Day on the Hill, and then also in conjunction with the League Governing Body meeting. So I have some meetings scheduled with local legislators, and it'll give us an opportunity to talk about issues that are relevant to municipalities and local government. And then just a reminder for those that would be attending the Chambers banquet is this Thursday. It'll be doors open at 6 o'clock and dinner's at 6:30. So I have your RSVPs and tables set aside. That's really all I have, unless you have some questions.
What's for dinner?
That I don't know. That's above my pay grade.
Okay, that it? We'll move on to comments from the public. The public is free to make comments on items not listed on the agenda. Please address comments to the commission as a body and be mindful of others who may also wish to speak by limiting your comments to 3 minutes.
Mayor Bauer, Commissioners, staff. Gail Smith, 1451 County Road 4500, Coffeyville, and owner of Dollar Tire. We're just here to announce starting our campaign for the Coffeyville Summer Celebration beyond July the 8th this year. We feel like we had a pretty good success. Last year in our celebration out here. I talked to the fireworks guy on Sunday, and he promises to bigger and better fireworks show this year. I didn't think it could get any better, but every year it does. We've already gotten calls from a few vendors, and right before the meeting tonight, I talked to Donnie Miller, the band. He's in Nashville, and he's going to try to. He said he wants to come. He's going to try to be here if he can find a bass player local, because he said his bass player can't come. I also talked to the Backroad Band. They want to play. Need to get back with Benny Eubanks and Randy Trotter, get a total confirmation about that. But I've already committed to the fireworks an X amount of dollars, and the city has already approved X amount of dollars. I'll send the guy the check here shortly before the end of January, so we get the discounts and the pick of the fireworks that he wants. I don't know, Lee, really anything, you want to add something?
No,
The only thing I can say is, we commended the city. They had the fairgrounds absolutely beautiful last year.
and that's where we're going to do it again,
That's what I was
right?
gonna ask.
I'm sorry?
That's where we're going to do it again?
At the park.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the city just had the grounds looking absolutely beautiful. They were helped us with the trash, helped us with the dumpsters for the fireworks guys, and hopefully that'll all go smooth just like it did last year. So, we just want to put on a good show. I'm gonna take care of the band, the fireworks, and the stage company that brings the stage in, along with the city. And I'll just let Mike, he's gonna talk about the car show.
Well, Andy and I take care of the car show, but this year we're going to go bigger. We're also bringing in motorcycles this year. Last year we were hoping for like 300 cars. I think we would have got the cars last year, but that first hour we got that rain. And we got the phone calls from the car clubs saying that they regret that they couldn't come, but I don't blame them. I don't take my car out in the rain. I didn't expect for them to. We had a lot of requests last year for motorcycles. It was our first year. I mean, it's a lot to put this together, the way we do it, and especially because we do it for the community. We do it for everybody for free. You know, it's to pay back the community. I mean, I've been a police officer for 24 years. This community's been good to me, and I want to do what I can to pay back. Andy's the same way. Gail's the same way. We just want to get back. That's why probably when we started this, we all told each other that we would not charge for anything that we do. I mean, the vendors come in and the food vendors come in, but that's for the folks can pay their money towards that for the cost for what they want to pay for. We are looking at bringing in, what was it that you were talking about?
I'm trying to get like a game simulator for
Yeah.
cars, some different activities throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, and Carter's is talking, last year, I know we said we were gonna bring that stuff in, Carter's west from Pennswell. Night before, they were loading up, getting ready to come here, and it burnt to the ground in Iowa. So that kinda put a halt to that, but they had kinda pledged that if they get it back together, they would be here this year. We have verbal commitment from Hot Rodding American Style, it's a TV show, that they will commit to be here. I've got a few more things to get that buttoned up, and then so we'll have a TV show here that day. Gail with the fireworks, Gail loves fireworks, and so if you didn't think it could get any better last year, wait for this year. It's going to be something else to see.
Good.
That's about where we're at.
Pretty much the same as last year.
Yep,
Hopefully bigger.
bigger, better.
Just one more thing to add. We had our meeting about a week ago just to kind of get this started. And Brandy Avery has created a Facebook page for the Caulfield Summer Celebration. And any questions or comments can go through that. We'll have our numbers listed on it and her number. My wife she's starting up like a preliminary flyer to put on there inviting merchandise or food vendors, car show, that kind of thing. And anyway, any questions or comments? Last year we had a little lull after the car show between about, 3 or 4 o'clock?
3 to 6.
6. We'd like to hear from somebody if they got an idea of what we could do. The car show it was pretty hot. People went home, maybe cooled off, and then came back a little later for the fireworks. But we'd kind of like to have, maybe somebody's got an idea what we could do in that time. If we have 2 bands, we may have them playing. But, and the other thing, I heard the lady say back here, a passion for Coffeyville. And I think, we're trying to do that. Thank you.
Well, wait a minute, don't go anywhere yet. You guys got any questions or comments?
Only thing about your gap, I'm not sure, I sit in Shade Tree and enjoyed the afternoon with my kids and watched them play. I didn't think it was a problem. I mean, if you want to improve it, great, but I didn't think it was a problem. People went home, maybe took a shower.
We just kind of looked around and after the car show and the trophy presentation, between that and about 6 when the band started, we thought, it really thinned out. If we had something maybe in there to just, an event, some kind, or like, the simulator, anything.
You guys did good. I couldn't find anything wrong with, even the rain just washed cars off, right?
Yeah. And this year last year we tried a cardboard car contest. We did have 6 entries. This year I'm going to change that over and we're going to do a custom Power Wheel car show and cruise inside the park for the kids. So
That'd be good.
with the Power Wheels, and so we're going to try that this year and see how that works out.
All I can say is, we want this to be a family oriented. It's not just for adults. Bring the kids and come out and have a good day.
Yeah, bring a picnic. You don't have to spend money out there. I mean, bring a picnic with the kids. That's what.
Fried Oreos any other time.
Gail, I got some ideas for you. I'll get in touch with you to talk over some stuff I'd like to help out with maybe.
Well, you and I have talked very briefly, and I think I'd said something to city staff and commissioners 3 months ago, and I know you put a lot of money in this, and I know you guys are the committee. I'm not a promoter of these type of events, but I'd like to see some of the locals get involved and help with it. Okay, I know I, for one, would be willing to help, and I don't know if I hadn't been to any events, and I'll probably be this year. But I think we should put together some kind of a committee, which I guess we're looking at it, but to try to get some of the local people / business people, whatever, to help with it.
We had an awful lot of local businesses last year. We gave a lot of stuff away out there. We, Cantrells and
Well, I'm talking about
They were
cash.
places-
I'm talking about cash for the,
I'll tell you, I'm committed to putting in the amount that I've always done. You know, I mean, if you want me to disclose that, I will, but I'm gonna put that in, but like you're saying, if somebody else wants to help jump in,
Okay.
we'll just make it bigger and better.
okay.
But I'm
Well-
committed to where I'm at.
I don't know how the city makes this connection, does or doesn't, but I think we should put a committee together of 5 or 6 or so people that can make some calls and just put it out there. The word will spread, and we talked about this a couple times before, but it never did materialize. And I hate to see you put all this money up. You've been doing it for years. Thank you. But I'd like to think that some other people might want to be involved. It's up to you. We'll talk about it some more.
I went to every bank in town and the college and Downing Insurance, everybody all the way up and down 11th Street, including the
Okay.
Chamber of Commerce, they had it on their marquees. Yeah, that was a big help. That really, anybody that came through town, they could see that we were gonna do something.
Well,
We've had so many comments, or at least I do down there in a public business, about, people came to town just to see the fireworks, or just came to town to see the car shows.
how many people were there last year? Gail?
Well, we had 150, 50-something cars.
On the fireworks show, because I'm on the fair board also,
Okay.
before the fireworks, I went up on top of the stadium and looked out. There wasn't a parking spot from the train all the way to 8th Street. Any piece of land that a car could be parked, could be parked. And that's not counting across the street, the old animal shelter, all the way across to El Pueblitos and the old Walmart. It's hard to estimate how many cars.
I had a man approach me, and I don't know who he was with or how he did it, but I did have a man approach me, and he said that he estimated in excess of 10,000 people out there for the fireworks show.
I'd say that's about right.
Yeah, and the highway, plus the highway, because that's where the fireworks are being shot. Cars, we stopped the cars on the highway. It stopped, the show just stopped the cars, and it was all the way to Walmart on the parking. And one of the things that we had to watch was our buffer zone. And the cars just pushed us right to the buffer zone. And so,
Okay, so we've got 100, Chris, how many people watch this on TV? How many online? Somebody said you count them online, I think. Somebody, Cindy, did we have that?
The average is what, about 50 people is what?
Yeah.
The average is about 50.
Online?
Yeah, we can, but as far as on television, we wouldn't.
Yeah, well, anyway, they're hearing us. If anyone wants to help,
If any,
the money goes
if
to
you
what?
if you get on Facebook and go to the Coffeyville Summer Celebration, share it, and they'll share it,
Okay.
and they'll share it.
Yep.
Okay.
I know how that works.
and if you have questions, go on Coffeyville Summer Celebration. There's 4 or 5 of us that will answer
Okay.
you probably within 10 or 15 minutes. So.
My wife monitors Facebook.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys, appreciate it.
What day is the 8th, anyway? Saturday. Okay, good. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll move on to comments from the commission and staff. Commissioners, questions, comments?
I have a few, but I'll let other people go if they want to.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Mark.
Do we have anybody interested now that the health center has moved out from down here? Do we have anybody interested, or is that something we can't discuss?
We can discuss it. I do have someone who had called that is interested in, they called before the end of the year and said once the holidays got out of the way, they'd like to come down and look at it and see if it would be something that would meet their needs.
Okay.
I have not heard back from them. I suppose I could follow up the call with them. But beyond them, no. The health center is scheduled to be out of there by the end of March at the latest. So But we don't have, other than one entity who said they'd be interested in taking a look, we don't.
Okay. We talked about housing tonight. I've been noticing on Facebook in Pittsburgh, there are some people looking at the lofts downtown, and Chanute, I believe it was Chanute or somewhere like that. There was some other, like miniature, they had a place for smaller houses. There,
Miniature homes?
yeah.
And we have a development of miniature homes that will be starting. We've already done the zoning, or the zoning changes, I believe, is the part that we've already went through to help that. So there will be I don't know, a miniature home park, I don't know what it's called, miniature home development that will be
I've
starting.
just been seeing some stuff around southeast Kansas. I didn't know how much we are engaged. I think that's one important thing. If we're going to have businesses come in here, we're going to need places for them to
Pittsburgh
be
has there's
in mid-level.
They have a lot of private investment that's going on in Pittsburgh right now with the development, but they also in their downtown corridor, which and it's in conjunction with the college in a large partnership. I've spoken to Darren Hall, who's their city manager, and set in on a presentation that the city of Pittsburgh put on about the private development that's going on in Pittsburgh.
Lastly, I've been thinking about bringing this up for a while. I just haven't. Some things that we put on our city Facebook page, like the criminal activity, I think we need to watch what we do. I think that kind of hurts our image. If you were to go, if I were to move to the city, two places I'd look for information would be their website and their Facebook page. And a couple weeks ago, two of the things you would have saw on there was a shooting and a theft. I'm fine with the police department having it, but for us to have stuff like that on big, bold, newspaper-style articles on stuff like that, and I looked on some of those pages, and there's some nasty comments about the people, the family. Families get upset because it's on there. I just wish we could find a better way of possibly doing things like that.
What do they do with that in other cities?
I'd like to find out. I understand it's a press release, but you're putting name, picture, all that stuff. And then a few months ago, there was something on there about an incident that happened on Sunday morning that I don't want to. I mean, the habit was pretty vulgar that I don't think should have probably been put on there.
Their name, their picture, and the charges and things like that you're arrested for is all public record.
Okay, but cannot not be on the Coffeyville Police Department instead of ours? Is what I'm asking. And the whole thing with what happened on the Sunday, that offended a lot of people.
I remember when it happened, and I don't know, this, good question. It's a really good question. And I don't have any comment because I'm not in that arena. I'd like to know more legally,
Yeah, I mean, I think
righteously, what other cities do and all that.
that's it right there. I think
You
it'd
know.
be interesting to see what other cities
I
do
can-
when
I
it
can-
comes to the communication portion of
Right.
it.
I can reach out to other cities and see if they have guidelines for the information that they disseminate on Facebook and other social media sites.
Yeah.
This is pretty easy. We can, all five of us, go to Facebook, see what Chanute Parsons.
Yep.
But they may have a written policy or something like that.
What I'm getting at is he's worried about perception. We could just look, see what they're doing. If they're doing the same thing,
I wouldn't concern myself so much with the perception of what people think. I would concern myself about what's the problem what do you need to do to address to keep these things from happening in your community so they don't go on Facebook? So instead of, well, let's hide the burglaries and the robberies and the rapings and the killings, let's hide that. Instead of let's hide it, let's do something to solve the raping and the
Well,
killings and the
It's kind of hard to
burglaries.
do when you have a police force that's down in numbers, and you don't have a place to put the criminals.
Then address it.
We are. It's just going to take a while to do that.
Well, I will, through my city manager's listserv, I'll put out some requests for any guidelines that other cities might have as far as what they put out, and just through some casual conversations over the next couple of days as I meet with some of my colleagues, I'll try to find out what other cities do to address that.
I'm just putting it out there. It's not a huge deal.
Yeah, I just think there's a fine line. You know, we just have to find out where that middle is. I mean, I think, to Chris's point, I think we need to point out to people that there's a problem.
Well,
Just sometimes, like I said, there's a fine line, too much communication, too much information. The communication's good. It's just, and how the information's,
Well, and I guess my question would be, how do you differentiate which platform you use? If you put it on your city website, wouldn't it be valid to put it on every form of communication that you have?
and like you said, I think just finding out what the other cities do and, you know, yes.
I know it's your time, but that is the new newspaper you're talking about. Newspapers all over the land are not even published anymore, so
Good point.
those stories used to be on the front page of the newspaper, now they're instantly on the front page of
Yep.
a website or a Facebook page.
One thing that I kind of forgot, I actually had the note and forgot to mention it. Today, staff and I had our first initial meeting with Civics Plus to discuss refreshing our city website, and that kind of caused us to start looking at some other city websites today. And I'll just use Manhattan as the example because it's the one we were specifically looking at. They have social media platforms that I've never even heard of. Not besides the Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Snapchat. I mean the common ones. Cities are using Pinterest. All those types of social media platforms to disseminate all kinds of information. It was almost overwhelming. There was almost too many platforms. You couldn't track them all. So to Pastor's comments, social media is, kind of the 21st century newspaper.
Yep.
But I will research what other cities do and come back with kind of what we find out.
there was a story on NPR or one of those radio stations this morning that talked about Facebook, and the speaker was saying that they're trying to stay away from being, they don't want to consider themselves a media outlet, but they are. They want to consider themselves a digital outlet, electronic or something like that. And there's a lot of talk about it right now. And it's moving that direction like Randy said. Anyway, enough said. Thank you.
I do have a question. I know Thomas isn't here. I don't see him anyway, but bridge and overlook, we shut the road off. The railing's still not up. You have any idea where we're at on that?
We are, the low bidder was not able to bond.
Gotcha.
And we worked a myriad of angles to help that construction company be able to bond the project. And we got to the point where the next low bidder, those bids had expired. So we are rebidding. We have to rebid that project. So we will expect an increase because I think the next low bidder was about $55,000-$60,000 difference. And so we did close it down. I know during the ice, the expected ice.
Yep.
But I believe it's open. It's
It
open
is.
for,
Yep.
on most normal traffic days, it's open. But when we were expecting bad weather, we did close it down.
So when are the bids going out?
February 16th, isn't it, Cindy?
Is that the opening?
Opening
Yeah, I think they're out, they're out now.
Okay.
So,
I'm just curious, it's been 6 months. and I
Right.
was, you know,
and like I said, we bent over backwards, I guess, and maybe we went a little too far in trying to help this person. Took a little longer than we should have. Also, we're still working through the funding for that. There's still an issue with the insurance revenue, payments and things like that we're working with council on how we best address that.
Yep.
And so, but it is being rebid right now.
Okay, good. That's all I have. Any other questions from commission?
I just want to make a little announcement. Taylor Crane did a little job down at the Gathering Place today, and it's on Channel 6 News if anybody wants to tune in. Kind of an interesting project. It's a $350 million park. It's the largest privately funded park ever in the world, and it's happening right down on Riverside, and Croston Construction's primary contractor, and it's quite a little project. I just thought I'd mention that. Channel 6, it's been on TV today. Anyway, I haven't got to see it yet, but I understand it's there. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. If on that bridge, if one of the commissioners like Taylor Crane bid on that, would that be a conflict of interest on that bridge project? I know the answer. I want to hear your reply.
It's not a conflict of
Yeah.
interest.
Commissioners, any conflict?
If they can get it done any quicker,
Yeah.
But
Okay.
And, yeah,
we have capable bidders, but the low bidder could not produce the bond.
sealed bids, right?
Yeah, but
Right,
if
sealed bids.
if you want to bid on the project, you can bid on the project.
That's just a fair question.
I just, sealed bids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with him being a commissioner.
Right.
I just,
Right.
right.
Yeah, they're
Right, that's a good
completely,
point.
yeah, they're
I didn't know
sealed,
they were sealed bids. but-
Yeah.
they're sealed bids and they're open publicly at an appointed time.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you. That's all I've got.
All right. I move to adjourn the meeting. Motion was made to adjourn by Mayor Bauer, seconded by Commissioner Martin. All in favor, say aye. Aye.